Kia ora and welcome to our rugby league video this week, and I will be focusing on the best Kiwi-NRL juniors from Christchurch currently in NRL systems, or they were playing in NRL systems during the 2025 season. I've got them kind of ranked out in terms of what level they played, how many games they played at that level, what they did this season. It's kind of like a ranking, but it's not a ranking because who knows when we're dealing with players who are under 21s. We got players who are under 19s playing under 21s. We got all the under 21s playing New South Wales Cup, and it is too tricky to try and assess their talents. But we do have a long list of Kiwi-NRL juniors who are from Christchurch, and they are in NRL systems. Do have a few things to highlight before we get to the fake rankings. Got to shout out Jermaine Isako, OG of the wave of players recruited directly from Christchurch. He's an Aranui junior. I think he started out in the Sharks system, then he went up to the Broncos, and now he's with the Dolphins. He's always playing for the Kiwis, always doing a good job. So shout out to Jermaine Isako leading the Christchurch wave. We got Jordan Ricky, obviously, fantastic edge forward for the Broncos. He's already played for the Kiwis, but he didn't play this year in the Pacific Championships. He's a Hornby junior, came out through St. Thomas of Canterbury College. And of course we got Tanner Stowers-Smith, Hallswell Jr., who has played NRL footy. So none of the dudes that I'm going to be ranking in my fake rankings have played NRL footy yet, but I do want to highlight those three Christchurch products who are in the NRL as we end 2025. Also got to shout out Greymouth, the Greymouth Geezers, because a lot of rugby league talent from Greymouth has close links to Christchurch. I think both Griffin Neame, Suburbs Junior from Greymouth, and Antonio Verhoeven, Cobden Kohinoor Junior from Greymouth. Both of them have played some sort of footy in Christchurch. Like Verhoeven, I think, was playing first 15 for St. Bede's College. And Griffin Neame's, there's stories of him driving from Greymouth to Christchurch to play rugby league as well. Obviously, Griffin Neame, he's already played NRL footy. And Antonio Verhoeven is one of the best up-and-coming players in Australia right now. So there's a few angles I want to highlight from that list. Antonio Verhoeven is part of a group of Kiwi-NRL juniors who have made the Australian Schoolboys team within 1 year of being in Australia, maybe 2 years. So over the last few years, we've had Dean Mariner. He made the Australian Schoolboys soon after arriving in Australia. We've had Keanu Kinney do the same. We've had John Whinianga-Nofo. He was an Australian Schoolboys rep in recent years. He is in the Dolphins system. We've had Mason Barber from Kaikoui. He is in the Cowboys system. All of those dudes played for the Australian Schoolboys before the 2025 season. Mariner and Kinney have already played NRL footy. Whinianga-Nofo's on the rise with the Dolphins. Don't know if he'll be playing NRL footy this year, but he's a chance. And Mason Barber's on the fringe of the Cowboys squad at the moment, so he's a chance as well. But most notably, all those dudes left Aotearoa having played junior footy in Aotearoa, first 15 or rugby league juniors, and within a year, maybe 2 years, they were Australian Schoolboys reps. This year's Australian Schoolboys team, we had Verhoeven. He left Aotearoa and he's in the Broncos system. And there was also David Bryenton, who I think is an Ellerslie junior from Auckland. He moved to Australia and he's been in that Australian Schoolboys squad. But there's another dude who I overlooked, Jake White. He is from New Plymouth and he's a big bopper. His profile with Sport Vision when he was signed there. It was when he was under 17s, and he's 194 centimeters, 113 kgs, while being under 17s, and he was one of the middle forwards for the Australian Schoolboys this year, having recently left New Plymouth. So he was a Bell Block Maris Junior in New Plymouth. I think he played first 15 for New Plymouth Boys High School. He was part of a Chiefs under 18 development camp in 2024, and he's played rugby league for Taranaki as well. Jake White is in the Sharks system, and Jake White is interesting because he's the only forward in this group of Kiwi-NRL juniors who have recently played for the Australian Schoolboys. Mariner, Kinney, Mariner, Kinney, Barber, Verhoeven, and Bryanton are all some sort of back, fullback, centre, wing, maybe even halves. Whinianga is more of a utility. He's played in the halves, he's played hooker, he's done all sorts of jobs in the Dolphins system, and that makes me very intrigued about how he progresses into the NRL, because he could be one of these small forwards that we're seeing, the Aaron Clark types. But Jake White is interesting in this group because he's the only forward, and he's a big bopper. And I'll weave in some of these Christchurch angles into this, because I was thinking during the Pacific Championships, we as rugby league fans were all marveling at the Kiwis forward pack. Well, Griffin Neame wasn't playing. Jordan Ricky wasn't playing. Two dudes from the South Island who have recently debuted for the Kiwis, and they weren't part of the 2025 Aotearoa Kiwis glory at the Pacific Championships, nor was Leo Thompson. So you got three really good forwards there who weren't in that Kiwis squad. And just to flesh this out a bit further, I'm not saying these dudes are the same level of Xavier Willis and Joseph Tapine, and there's a lot of other dudes in this mix, but if you want some layers of New Zealand Kiwis forward pack, middle forward depth, through the grades, here are some of the standouts. Griffin Neame, obviously. Leo Thompson, obviously. Tanistower Smith, I think he's going to be pushing for a New Zealand Kiwi selection in the future, obviously eligible for Samoa as well. Then we have another Christchurch junior, so this is the third guy in this layers of middle forward depth list who's from the South Island. Griffin Neame, Tanistower Smith, KC Newton-Whare. Be talking about him in a jiffy. He's in the Melbourne Storm system at the under 21 level. He'll be pushing for New South Wales Cup next year. Very good middle forward. Marley Igerson. He's from Tauranga, and he's in the Broncos system. He played for the Broncos under 20s and NRL Q, and he'll be looking to play Queensland Cup next season. He's been a high pedigree junior with the Broncos. Then we get to Jake White, who played for the under 19 SG Ball team for the Sharks, and he'll be pushing into the under 21s mix next season at Cronulla. So just there with some of these, like Griffin Neame, Leo Thompson, not part of the squad this year. Tanistower Smith, he's a development type of player for the Kiwis perhaps. Then we go KC Newton-Whare, Marley Igerson, Jake White. Three exceptional middle forward talents by what they've done. KC Newton-Whare won the Jersey Flegg Championship this year. Marley Igerson is part of a Broncos Kiwi-NRL recruitment drive. They only get the best at the Broncos. Jordan Ricky, Dean Mariner, Xavier Willison. That tells you what they think of Marley Igerson. And then we've got Jake White, who made the Australian Schoolboys squad. Interestingly, I just named 6 players from NRL down to under 19s. That's why it's the layers, because you've got layers of middle forwards there. None of them are from Auckland. As I'm saying, Griffin Neame from Greymouth. Leo Thompson's from Hawke's Bay, Napier. Tanistower Smith, Christchurch. KC Newton-Whare, Christchurch. Marley Igerson, Tauranga. Otamotai Jr. and Jake White is from Taranaki with New Plymouth. One other funky thing I've seen just doing some of the research for this was the 2022 Junior Crusaders Rugby Union squad. Tanner Stella-Smith was in that squad before committing full-time to the Warriors. Harry Inch was also in that squad back in 2022, and now he is joining the Warriors like 3 years after Stella-Smith joined the Warriors. Also from that 2022 Junior Crusaders Rugby Union squad, we have Richie Tupuaile, Hornby Jr., who was in the Shark system during 2025 as a big bopper. Oliver Lowry, he has been playing centre for the Sea Eagles under-21s team, and Dakota Kakoi, Linwood Jr., who has been playing mainly centre, I believe, with the Eels under-21s team in 2025. And then there was also Tyler Blake and Jermaine Feast, who I think they might have played one game each of under-21s for the Warriors this year. So from that 2022 Junior Crusaders squad, we got 7 players who did something in an NRL system during 2025. Don't think we'll see Tyler Blake and Jermaine Feast stay on the rugby league path with the Warriors because they only played one game off the top of my head. But then you've got 5 dudes who have settled into NRL systems after being part of a high-performing rugby union academy with the Junior Crusaders. Then you add to that some of the Nelson trends we have seen, well, maybe mainly over the last 6 months. And that's led by Harry Inch, who he was a New Zealand schools rep in 2024, I believe. But now we've also got Salmaki, who has moved from Nelson College to the Rabbitohs, and Tom Perkins, who has moved from Nelson College to enter the Knights system. So Inch was part of that Junior Crusaders squad. I haven't checked more recent Crusaders junior squads, but not only do you have you've got the Greymouth spotlight that we've talked about. We'll get into more of the Christchurch talent in a jiffy, but you've also got that emerging rugby league area of Nelson and the Marlborough region, Tasman region, which will offer Perkins, Inch, and Salmaki entering NRL systems for the 2026 season, and I'll be very interested to see who else from especially South Island First 15 Rugby, who else progresses into NRL systems, but mainly focusing on those regions. I do know that Torino Jackson, I think, is from Dunedin, and he is in the Gold Coast Titans system as a middle forward. He had a good year. I think he was playing alongside Verhoeven, and maybe the Queensland under-18 team. But Torino Jackson is currently in the Titans system as a middle forward coming out of Dunedin, I believe. And of course, we've talked about Kairos Booth previously coming out of Balclutha. Let's get into the fake rankings for Christchurch Kiwi-NRL juniors. And again, I'm not assessing talent. I'm just mainly basing this off what level they played in 2025. And we'll start with the 2 Warriors who spent most of the year in New South Wales Cup. They won the New South Wales Cup Championship. They won the State Championship. And that is Jason Salalilo, Papanui Jr., middle forward, and Makaia Tafua, Linwood Jr., who is mainly a hooker but can play as the small forward as well. Then we'll go Felix Fa'atili, big bopper for the Sharks. Hornby Jr., 5 games in New South Wales Cup this season. And if we are trying to spot a trend with what the Sharks are up to, Felix Fa'atili, big bopper. Richie Tupuaile, big bopper. Jake White, big bopper. The Sharks love big boppers from Aotearoa. Next we have Ezekiel Paulo, maybe one of the least known players in this list because I overlooked him when I did my initial draft. I think he's mainly an edge forward in the Sea Eagles system. Let me double check this because I think he might have started the year in SG Ball for the Sea Eagles. He is a Celebration Junior, Celebration Lions in Christchurch. Yes, he started this year in under-19 SG Ball. 7 games of under-19s, 9 games of under-21s, and then he played 2 games of New South Wales Cup for the Sea Eagles. So those are the 4 players who played New South Wales Cup, but Paulo is one of the notable ones there because he was under 19 to start the year. Then we get to the 2 Storm forwards. Casey Newton-Whare played his 3rd season of under 21s with the Storm. Rickerton Jr., middle forward. Josiah Ekihard Nelly, also in his 3rd season of under 21s with the Melbourne Storm. Hornby Jr., they were Jersey Flegg Cup champions in 2025 with the Melbourne Storm. Newton-Whare played 22 games last season, 18 games this year. Josiah Ekihard Nelly played 5 games last year, 13 games this year. We'll go Oliver Lowry next. Sea Eagles centre. He was a half. Now he's moved into the centres. He's played 16 games, or 18 games, then 16 games of under 21s. He's a Hallswell Junior. Tekaio Cranwell, Knight system. 22 games of under 21s this year. He's a Linwood Junior, primarily an edge forward. To this point, I haven't mentioned any Bulldogs players, but of course, we know that the Bulldogs have a partnership with Canterbury Rugby League. None of that actually means anything because all these players can choose what NRL system they want to enter as long as that NRL system has a place for them and wants them and so on. But when the Bulldogs announced their partnership with Canterbury Rugby League, everyone was stressing, everyone was buzzing, all the headlines. Doesn't mean much because I've just listed 8 Kiwi-NRL juniors at the under 21 level and none of them were in the Bulldogs system until we get to in the fake rankings. That's not to say that the dudes ranked ahead of them are better. I'm just cooking this up on the fly. We got Sosaia Alatini, Hornby Jr., edge forward, 12 games of under 21s this year after starting in under 19s. Then we go Bronson Reuben, 16 games of under 21s this year as a Kaiapoi Jr., which is technically on the extremities of Christchurch, but we'll include it here. He started in under 19s this year as well. So I've actually got 3 Bulldogs players listed in my fake rankings of 16. All of them were under 19s who played under 21s in 2025. Bronson Reuben is a very funky talent because he's a half and he's got a running game. He's got some pizzazz about what he does. And I'd say Bronson Reuben and Hami Loza are 2 high talent halves from Aotearoa who are on the rise in NRL systems. Then we go Richie Tupuaile. Only played 12 games of under 21s with the Sharks, Hornby Jr., but he has played a couple of years now in the Sharks system. Jackson Stewart. You could say Jackson Stewart might be like, if these were proper rankings, he might be number 3 or something because he looks to be a very, very, very good player. He is a Hornby Junior who was in the Warriors system. I think he was part of the first of 2 under-17 Harold Matthews Cup championship teams at the Warriors. Then he moved to the Roosters and he started in SG Ball. He was actually a member of the Roosters SG Ball championship winning squad as a centre, but also as a fullback. He spent a lot of game time at fullback this year, but he also played 11 games of under 21s. So I've got 16 players listed in my fake rankings. We got two players who are part of the New South Wales Cup and State Championship double with the Warriors, Jason Salalilo, Makaia Tafua. Then we've got two players who won the Jersey Flegg Championship with the Storm, Casey Newton-Whare, Josiah Ekihard Nelly. And we've got Jackson Stewart, who won the Under-19 SG Ball Championship with the Roosters. Xavier Lynch, Hallswell Jr., mainly an edge forward who started in Under-19 SG Ball, but also played 11 games of Under-21s with the Knights. Dakota Kakui, Linwood Jr., mainly a centre. He played 8 games of Under-21s with the Eels this year. Then we got Ezekiel Fa'atili. He played 3 games of Under-21s as an Under-19s player for the Knights as a Hornby Jr., mainly as an edge forward. He was another who was in the Warriors system. I don't think he played many games for the Warriors, but he moved to the Knights for the 2025 season, and he did the Under-19, Under-21 double, as did Genesis Arkham Sherlock, another Linwood Jr., who played 1 game of Under-21s with the Bulldogs as an Under-19 SG Ball player. I had to focus on the players who played Under-21s because there's just too many really good Kiwi-NRL juniors from Christchurch and the South Island below Under-19. So I did focus on those who are playing Under-21s just to make it easier for myself. But if the guy we're leaving off these fake rankings because he didn't play Under-19s or Under-21s is Bishop Neal, Under-17 Harold Matthews Cup Championship for the Warriors in 2025, edge forward, might go straight into Under-21s this year, but probably start at Under-19 SG Ball, Hornby Jr. If he's the dude not on these rankings, that tells you all you need to know about the talent coming out of Christchurch, because he's one of the freakiest Kiwi-NRL juniors on the rise, but he hasn't played a higher level than Under-17 Harold Matthews Cup. So I can't select him ahead of Under-19s, let alone Under-21s. Then we've got Lennox Tuiloma. Mystery man, haven't seen him play in 2025, so I don't know what's doing with him, but he is in the Warriors system, so we'll keep track of him this summer. Linwood Jr., and we also have, as a miscellaneous player to highlight, Sheldon Hayward, who I think is also a Linwood Jr. He's in the Bulldogs system at the Under-19 SG Ball level. So the fake rankings have 16 players, all of whom are Under-21s. So we've got 16 players who played Under-21s rugby league in, I think, mainly New South Wales here. Yes, all New South Wales. All of them are Under-21s. But of those 16 players who are Under-21s, we've got 2 who won reserve grade championships, 2 who won Under-21 championships, and Jackson Stewart, who won the Under-19 SG Ball championship. And this is only going to increase because there is a wave of players at the Under-17, Under-19 level who will be, who we will need to learn about moving into the 2026 season. So as you can tell, the talent coming out of Christchurch and Canterbury Rugby League is immense. There's a lot of females who are being recruited out of Christchurch as well into NRLW systems, and also there were a couple who played for the Panthers. Panthers don't even have an NRLW team, but they did recruit some players from Aotearoa. Let me get some names here. We got Kyra Lee Westland and Deja Tuliao, who were playing for the Panthers this year, coming out of the South Island. So that, and we've also got Manisha Seebeck, Hornby Jr., who was playing for the Roosters. So that tells you, and also Soalo Lofanga, who was playing for the Eels. So that shows you how many females are coming out of Christchurch Rugby League, as well as the abundance of really good rugby league players, especially at the Under-21 level. And they're doing great stuff. They're playing for the Kiwis, like Jordan Ricky, and Griffin Neem stretching it out to Greymouth. They're winning championships, and they are quickly progressing through NRL systems. And of course, now we're getting more first 15 players from the South Island switching over to league. So we're going to be keeping track of Harry Inch, Tom Perkins, Salmaki. We'll see what they can do, but it shows you how the rugby league landscape in the South Island and Christchurch specifically is changing, and it's going to be very interesting to see how these lads progress, let alone who else we need to learn about. Make sure you keep learning, make sure you keep doing your best. Big up to you, we appreciate you. Kia kaha.